Donald Hogg. Served in the United States Navy from June 1961 to June 1965. Went to boot camp in San Diego, and from there I went to Norfolk, Virginia. And then after about 4 months of schooling in Norfolk, I went aboard the USS Rich. And 7 days after I went aboard the Rich, we were taking part in John Glenn's space ride. We went off down there. We were on pickup station for his when he orbited the Earth, and we weren't lucky enough to be able to pick him up, but we were able to see his parachute when he came down. And when they turned us loose from there, we went to Northern Europe for 3 months, 4 months. And after that, we came back and made a couple of midshipman cruises. Went to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. While we were in Northern Europe, we went to England, Plymouth and Portsmouth, England. Went to Rotterdam, Holland, Lubeck, Germany, Oslo, Norway, and Belfast, Ireland. And while we were in the North Atlantic, we went up around the Iceland and Greenland and made a cruise up through there. Missed our replenishment, missed our port call in Iceland, and we stayed out chasing the Russian submarine instead of going in port. And stayed out there 3 days working with trying to find him, keep up with him, which we did. We kept up with him, but we never did make him surface. And we came on back to the United States. And then in 1963, we went to Brooklyn, New York for an overhaul. And when the ship came out of that, we went to Guantanamo Bay. But before that was when Kennedy was killed. And we were in Norfolk, Virginia at that time. And we singled up our lines and got underway just as soon as we got to work. They didn't want anybody in the port because they didn't know what was fixing to take place. And we left and went down there. And when they had the blockade of Cuba, we took part in that. We were down there 45 days on stationed hunting submarines, watching for submarines, looking for submarines for 45 days. And we stayed down there from the beginning to the end of the missile blockade. Down there on the blockade duty, I had been on watch, and of course our radar operator said he called a bridge and said, you know, we've been hit by their shore fire control radar. They're locked onto us with our shore fire. But then I went on after our ship was over with. I went down, went to the bunk. By the time I got good asleep, it was general quarters when I went off. So everybody went to general quarters. We didn't know what was fixing to take place. And nowadays you find out after it's all over with that we were about 2 minutes from nuclear war at one time because they were lighting off one of their missiles. They were fixing to turn it loose, and they got it stopped before it launched. So, and at the time, they had 4 submarines they were trying to run the blockade with, and they were armed with nuclear torpedoes. And we know that there was 4. We found 3 of the 4 and kept them from getting in. And the other one, I don't know whether he turned back or what. We never did. No one ever got in touch with them, contact with them. So it was a very tense time. We didn't know from one day to the next. Because I know back home everybody was learning to duck and cover. But 19 years old, you don't think about all that.
Did your family know that you were down there during that blockade, or was this one a hush-hush and one of those situations nobody knew?
We didn't have time to tell anybody we were going if we'd wanted to. We got the word that if you're going ashore, you call in every hour because we're fixing to get underway. And as soon as, probably about 2 hours after we got that word, we were singling up, getting ready to leave. So we didn't have time to notify anybody. Nobody knew where we were at until it was over with. I had a cousin that was in the Marine Corps that was stationed there in Norfolk, and he was down at what they call the Cent Clamp Fleet headquarters. And he knew where I was at because he knew what ship I was on, but nobody else knew where I was at. And after that, I made E4, and I went aboard a ocean-going tug. We took a tow from North America over the way to Holy Loch, Scotland. And then we took tows from Philadelphia to Orange, Texas, from from Wilmington, North Carolina, back to Norfolk, moving the reserve fleet from one place to another. And we, was running my own refueling station. We were refueling from the oiler, and we done that every third day. We would take on probably 50,000 gallons of fuel every third day. And that was at one station. Second station take on about 70,000. We take on about 130,000 gallons every time we refuel. And I had made a mistake the time before, and I cut a wrong line, a piece of rope that was holding something up, and it made the guys on the oiler mad. So when they come back across, hey, next time we went to act on the same people, they stuck a bunch of rags in the end of the refueling hose, and it stopped up the refueling truck, and when it did, it had black oil all over the fueling station. So we had to clean that up. You know, it was an interesting experience for 4 years. It really was. I enjoyed it. Now I have regrets that I didn't stay in for the 20, but everything worked out fine for the duration. I've been in the American Legion since about 1985 when I joined. And I haven't been the commander of the post. I've been the adjutant and the quartermaster and the finance officer for it ever since I've been in nearly. We've grown from 2 members up to 54 now. What a lot of people don't realize, you don't have to have been in a war zone to be eligible for the American Legion. Now anybody that has ever served in the service for more than 30 days for other than training purposes can join the American Legion. It is open to any veteran that has served any amount of time. And we'd be glad to have anybody that's interested to come join us, come talk to us, and see if we would fill a spot for you. We can use you. We'd be glad to have you.